Titanic novel that predicted the disaster. In 1898, 14 years before the Titanic sank, author Morgan Robertson wrote a novella titled Futility. It told the story of a luxurious ocean liner called the Titan, hailed as unsinkable, that struck an iceberg in April in the North Atlantic and sank, killing most passengers due to a shortage of lifeboats. Sound familiar? The ship's name? Titan. The size? Nearly identical. The reason it sank? The exact same. Even the time of year matched. Robertson swore he had no psychic abilities, but his book almost reads like a prophecy, a story from imagination that eerily became reality. So was it just a freak coincidence? Or was Morgan Robertson tapping into something, unknowingly decoding the future? Bullet that waited 20 years. In 1893, Henry Ziegler broke up with his girlfriend. Heartbroken, she took her own life. Her brother, furious, tracked down Henry and shot him, or so he thought. Believing Henry dead, the brother then turned the gun on himself, but Henry survived. The bullet had merely grazed his face and embedded itself into a tree behind him. 20 years later, Henry decided to cut down that very tree. He used dynamite. The explosion launched the hidden bullet directly into Henry's head. And this time, it killed him. A bullet missed its mark in 1893 and waited 20 years to complete its journey. Coincidence? Or karma? Patient, precise, and poetic? The twin deaths, 2 hours apart. 2 brothers in Finland died on the same day, in the exact same way, just 2 hours apart. The first brother, cycling along a highway, was tragically hit by a truck. Grieving the loss, the family hadn't even had time to inform his twin brother. When, exactly 2 hours later, he too was struck by a truck on the very same road. Both were 70 years old. Both were riding their bikes. Both died in almost identical spots under identical circumstances. The police were stunned. They'd never seen anything like it, and even speculated it was fate or something beyond understanding. What are the odds? 2 lives born together, ending together in perfect symmetry. Coincidence or a cosmic pattern too complex for us to understand? And the names that haunted 2 presidents. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860. Kennedy, 1960. Both were assassinated on a Friday by a bullet to the head. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary, named Lincoln. Both were succeeded by men named Johnson, and both Johnsons were born 100 years apart. These eerie parallels don't end there. Booth shot Lincoln in a theater and fled to a warehouse. Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and fled to a theater. It's as if history hit copy and paste. But why? Coincidence? A cosmic echo? Or are timelines more looped than we realize? The man who escaped death twice on the same bridge. In 1883, a woman was holding her infant son when she slipped and fell into the River Thames. A man named Joseph Figlock was walking by and caught the baby in midair, saving its life. Exactly 1 year later, the same woman dropped the same baby from the same bridge. And yes, Joseph Figlock happened to be walking by again and caught the baby again. Twice in a row at the same location with the same people. You can chalk up once to luck, but twice? It's like fate ran a simulation and forgot to change the settings. The woman who won the lottery twice. In 1980, Barbara Richards of Australia won the lottery. Great luck, right? But 4 years later, she won it again. Same game, same numbers. Statisticians called it a 1 in 17 million chance. Barbara wasn't a math genius. She didn't game the system. She just played the same numbers she always had. Some say it was blind luck. Others call it psychic intuition. But maybe, just maybe, some people are tuned into the frequency of fate. The mirror lives of 2 strangers. In Ohio, 2 men were adopted by separate families and lived completely different lives, or so it seemed. Both were named James. Both had dogs named Toy. Both married women named Linda. Both divorced and remarried women named Betty. Both had sons, one named James Allen, the other James Allen, and both worked in law enforcement. They didn't know each other, yet their lives were like synchronized blueprints. When they finally met in their late 30s, scientists were baffled. Were they twins? Yes. But how could so many specific choices align so perfectly? Coincidence, or an unsettling glimpse into how much of our life is pre-scripted? Named Edgar Allan Poe? In the 1800s, famous writer Edgar Allan Poe penned a short story titled The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. In it, shipwreck survivors resort to cannibalism and draw lots. A man named Richard Parker is sacrificed and eaten. The story was fiction, dark, disturbing fiction, but 46 years later, in 1884, a real ship called the Mignonette sank. The surviving crew, starving, desperate, adrift. They drew lots. And yeah, the man they killed and ate was named Richard Parker. People were stunned. The parallels were too exact. Did Poe predict a tragedy, or did life bizarrely mimic art? Either way, it's a haunting reminder that sometimes fiction doesn't stay fiction. The taxi déjà vu. In 1975, a man in Bermuda was riding his moped when he was hit by a taxi and killed. 1 year later, his brother was riding that same moped on the same road and was also hit by a taxi. It gets weirder. It was the same taxi with the same driver and even the same passenger. 2 brothers, 2 deaths, identical circumstances. Once, it's a tragedy. Twice, but get with those exact details, and it feels like something deeper is at play. The baby who became the husband. In the early 1900s, a woman in Turkey was visiting a hospital's maternity ward when she felt an odd connection to one of the newborns. Something unexplainable, as if she knew the child. Years passed. That woman married a man 15 years her junior. A surprising move for the time. They were deeply in love. One day, while going through family photos, she discovered something shocking. A picture of her holding a baby in that very hospital. It was him. The timelines matched. The faces matched. Without knowing it, she had once held her future husband as a baby. We don't even have a label for this kind of coincidence. Just one overwhelming feeling. What are the chances? The tragedy that repeats itself in art and life. In 1939, a German mother lost her son during World War II. He had been a pilot. Heartbroken, she donated a rare painting of a fighter jet to a museum. In 1966, a boy visiting that museum stood entranced by the painting. He stared at it for hours. Years later, he became a pilot. That man, her grandson, died in the exact same kind of crash depicted in that painting. The mother had unknowingly donated a prophecy, and the painting had waited patiently. The car that found its way back. A man in France bought a car in the 1970s. A few years later, he sold it. 2 decades later, his son, now grown up and living in a completely different city, went shopping for a used car. He test drove a few and finally bought one. When he got home, his father froze. It was the exact same car, same scratches, same modifications, same VIN. It had changed hands multiple times over 20 years and found its way back to the original family, completely by chance. Or maybe not by chance at all? The book that reappeared. After 100 years. In a dusty corner of a Vermont library, a book was returned. 100 years late. It had been checked out by a man named George in 1923 and was somehow never marked overdue. One day, it simply showed up on the return desk. No one knew how it got there. There was no record of who returned it, no modern postage, nothing to trace, and yet it was pristine, preserved like it had time traveled. Librarians were baffled. The card inside still had George's name. Was it a family member, a prank, or something stranger? Sometimes the universe returns what it borrowed. So what do you think? Are these just bizarre accidents, or evidence that our world runs on patterns we're only beginning to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let us know which one gave you chills. If this video made your reality feel just a little glitchy, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because we've got more mind-bending mysteries coming soon. Until next time, stay curious.